Good morning, friends. Happy Monday. It's a new week, April 24th. I slept in today. As you can tell, I'm a little bit late. But I am here. I've got right out of bed, so you've got bedhead, you've got no makeup, you've got all the goodness today. Aren't you just so lucky? This is what my sweet husband gets to experience every day. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good week. I can't believe it's the end of April. And I knew right when I woke up this morning exactly what I was going to be talking about today because for the last week I've been reading the book of Nehemiah. So I think I've probably mentioned this before, but I tried to read through the Bible just constantly, and just because it's fascinating. Every time I read it, I learn something new. And so, good morning, Elena. And so, I try to read through it constantly. I don't try to rush through and get it done in a year. I just read it a chapter or two a day at a time and get done when I get done. But right now I'm at Nehemiah. And it's amazing how I can read this book so many different times and learn something new. Good morning, Jill. I learn something new every time that I read it. So it's fascinating. Even if you don't believe in God and don't believe in the Bible, there's still so much wisdom and riches inside that you can learn from. So even if you're questioning your faith, there's still value in reading that. Good morning, Susan. All right, so I'm reading Nehemiah, and this past week I read chapter 3, which is all about the builders of the wall. And in the past, I might have skipped over this chapter because it's a list of people. All right, so it seems kind of boring, but let me give you some backstory. So before the book of Nehemiah opens, the city of Jerusalem and the temple in Jerusalem had been completely destroyed, just obliterated. And back then, one of the most important things in a city, in order to keep it safe, was to have a wall built around it. And without a wall, a city or a town was subject to invaders and people coming to attack and all that kind of thing. So in order to be safe, a city had to have a wall around it that made it secure, and there would be gates and guard towers and all that kind of fun stuff. So anyway, Jerusalem, the wall had been completely destroyed. It was the way of those who came to take over the city, made it uninhabitable, or made it completely subject to this new ruler. So they completely destroyed that wall. Well, Nehemiah was an Israelite, and he was living in captivity in Babylonia and in Babylon, and he had such a heart for his homeland, for Israel, for Jerusalem. And it was breaking his heart that the wall in Jerusalem had been completely destroyed. And so he asked the king of the Babylonian king if he could go and rebuild the wall in Jerusalem. So anyway, long story short, he comes back to Jerusalem, and this is a huge task. So imagine, we didn't have, there was no John Deere tractors back then. There was no big heavy machinery. So it was just ordinary people that had to rebuild this massive wall. So around an entire city. So wherever you're living right now, imagine a wall around the whole entire city. This was no small task. And so Nehemiah traveled all the way back to Jerusalem and had to somehow organize the people in Jerusalem to build this wall. This was huge. Good morning, Brooke. Hey there, Lisa. Gosh, I love seeing all of you. It's so good to see you. Okay, so he had to organize all the people to build this wall. And this is a massive, huge undertaking. And what is so beautiful about this chapter 3 of Nehemiah, it's just, all it is a listing of the people who built the wall. But I want you to notice, I'm not going to read the whole chapter or anything. You can go do that in your own time. But there are so many lessons and insights to be learned about life and leadership and influence simply from this one section of Nehemiah. So they start building this wall, which again is huge. Good morning, Cindy. Hey there, Katie. And they start building this wall, and in this chapter we see how they accomplish it. So for those of you who want to be a part of something significant, this is for you, because it has instructions for how we do that. Now, pause for a second. One thing that I've come to discover or learn as I've traveled and met different people and talked to different people is that all of us want to feel like we're part of something significant, something worthy, something bigger than ourselves. We all want to feel like our lives matter for something extraordinary, right? We all want to feel like that. And I think that's part of our obsession with fame and Hollywood and with people who are just famous and showing up everywhere, and all of this is we see that, and we see that as being evidence of significance and worth and a significant life, and we want a piece of that. And so we become, almost obsessed with following people that we think have demonstrated their significance. However, what about the rest of us? What about this ordinary people who woke up with bedhead today, and it's a Monday and we have to do a million things? Is there room in the world for ordinary, non-famous people to do something significant with our lives? And this chapter of Nehemiah, chapter 3 of Nehemiah, is all about that. So without reading the whole chapter, it begins by simply saying, verse 1, Eliashib the high priest and his fellow priests went to work and rebuilt the sheep gate. They dedicated it and set its doors in place, building as far as the Tower of the 100, which they dedicated, and as far as the Tower of Hananel. The men of Jericho built the adjoining section, and Zachar, son of Imri, built the section next to him. That's just verse 1. Nehemiah 3 goes through 32 verses just like that, where so-and-so built this section, and then so-and-so, the son of so-and-so next to him, built that section, and then this person built the section next to him, and this person built the section next to him, and it goes on and on and on throughout all of Nehemiah 3. Now, these are the lessons that I want you to hear in this, because this is so important. First of all, the title of this No Makeup Monday is What It Takes to Do Great Things. Okay, I'm going to give you the 3 ingredients it takes to do great things. The first is ordinary people. Ordinary people. It doesn't take famous people. It doesn't take super attractive people. It doesn't take really, really smart people. It takes ordinary, everyday people. And throughout the book of Nehemiah, you will see that. There are priests. There are just ordinary day laborers. There are goldsmiths. In fact, in verse 12, it says that there, I think it was verse 12. No, it's verse 7, I think, 8. There were goldsmiths and perfume makers. Pause for a moment and think about that. Good morning, Cheryl. And good morning, Susan. Think about that. Perfume makers. What does a perfume maker know about building a wall, for crying out loud? They make perfume. And yet, verse 8 talks about Hananiah, one of the perfume makers, made repairs next to Uzziel, son of whatever, I'm not even going to try to say that, one of the goldsmiths. So we have a perfume maker and a goldsmith, shoulder to shoulder, working on the section of the wall. Neither one of them had any skills in building a wall. None of them were construction workers. They were ordinary people who saw a job that needed to be done, and they dove in and did it. So first ingredient of what it takes to do great things, ordinary people. And that is good news for people like you and me. I know nothing about building a wall, but I know how to work. I know how to get out there and serve, and so do you. So it's ordinary people. Number 2, doing what's right outside their front door. Doing what's right outside their front door. They didn't travel to get on a plane and go someplace glamorous or spectacular. They didn't have to even drive across town. They didn't have to do something that was so far out in left field. They literally did something that was right outside their front door. In fact, in verse 10 and verse 23, and I think a couple of other places throughout Nehemiah 23, it says, here's one, adjoining this, Jediah, you know what, don't judge me on my pronouncement of names. Jediah, son of Haramath, made repairs opposite his house, and Hattush, son of blah, 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 I have no idea, made repairs next to him. So he did repairs right outside his front house. Verse 23 says the same thing. He did repairs, a person did repairs right across from them. one of the things I love is verse 12 said, Shallum, son of Halohesh, ruler of the half district of Jerusalem, repaired the next section with the help of his daughters. He made it a family event, a family affair. Now, first of all, in this culture, women didn't have very great standing. And so for daughters to even be mentioned here in Nehemiah 3 is beautiful. This man got to work, an ordinary man got to work, doing the work right outside his front door, and he included his daughters in the process, made it a family thing. All right, so what does it take to do great things? Ordinary people like you and me, doing what's right outside our front door. And 3, doing it together. I could not overemphasize the importance of this. Throughout the chapter of 3, these men and women worked side by side, shoulder to shoulder. Because if you read through chapter 3, in fact, this would be fun. This would be kind of a fun exercise if you're a nerd like me. But take a highlighter and highlight every time it says the words next to him, next to him. It happens quite often throughout this chapter. So-and-so worked, and next to him, so-and-so worked, and next to him, so-and-so worked. I think you and I, we want to feel like our lives matter, like we're significant. Elena, you're cracking me up because the man working with his daughters probably attracted other helpers too, which is just absolutely true and hilarious. Okay, so I think we want to feel significant. We want to feel like our lives matter, but we think that we have to do something glamorous or public or travel to some far distant place or do something that shows up on the nightly news in order for it to be worthy. But goodness, you guys, when you and I, ordinary people, determined to do what's right outside our front door and we do it together, amazing things happen. I mean, these are the makings of movements. What would happen if you and I just today decided that when we walked outside our front door, that we used our ordinary lives to do exactly what's right in front of us, whatever that may be. The person we pass on our walk, the person we encounter at the store, the person that we sit next to in the office and work today, whoever it is, that we do our section, our part, our section of the wall, and we do it with great joy and determination because it's right in front of us. That is the making of great things. I would highly encourage that you guys go back and read the book of Nehemiah again, regardless of whether or not you believe in Christianity or even believe the Bible. There's so much wisdom to be learned there and about leadership and influence in life. And it's incredible to watch this process with Nehemiah and the people of Jerusalem. They build this wall in a record time. And they built it in record time not because they had tons of money or tons of great equipment or uber talent or anything like that. Remember, these were perfume makers and goldsmiths and priests that were building this wall. They built this wall because they were ordinary people doing what was right outside their front door together. Gosh, that's what it takes to do great things. So this week, you and I, we're going to go out there as ordinary as we are, and we're going to do whatever is right outside our front door with great joy and faithfulness. And this is what I would like, okay? I would love for you to circle back around and leave a story in the comments, okay? Or just a tiny, it doesn't have to be, remember, our tendency is to try to make it glamorous or spectacular. Okay, spectacular doesn't have to be huge and big and whatever. It can be very, very ordinary. But remember, there is so much glory in the ordinary. There is so much evidence of God's presence in the very ordinary pieces of our lives. So when you have those moments this week and you go out and do something, you do what's right in front of you with faithfulness. I want you to circle back around and leave a comment. And then we're going to revisit this video, the comments this week, and see what's happened throughout the week. And I'll try to do the same thing where I leave notes about how I've experienced great things this week simply by doing what's right outside my front door. God, give us faith and strength and courage, and give us the eyes to see the work you've given us that's right in front of us, God. Help us not to try to seek to be famous or glamorous or anything, God, but to be faithful to exactly who we are and what's right in front of us, God. And when we do that, I believe, God, that you will help us to see and accomplish great things. All for you, God, in Jesus' name, amen. All right, my friends, have a great week. By the way, side note, I'm leaving Wednesday, believe it or not, for the United Kingdom. I'm headed to London, and then I'll be traveling by train to Plymouth. I'm speaking at a women's conference called the Stilettos Conference. How fun is that? I'll be speaking there on Saturday, and so I'll be in the UK for the next about 10 days. So I'll be speaking in Plymouth, and then I'm traveling to Penzance, spending some time in Cornwall for a few days. And so right out my front door this week is going to be something a little unfamiliar. So I might get to meet some new people and just experience God right there outside of that front door. So I'm planning to do some Facebook Live then. I'm hoping to still do it next Monday if I can figure out the time difference. So I'm still on at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. And I'm planning to do more videos and let you know kind of what's happening there. So anyway, I would love for you to travel with me. It would be fun. So have a great week, friends. I will see you next Monday.